Welcome back. Markets this morning are mixed. Take a look at stocks. They are down. Oil is up. The Dow Industrial is down 714 points. The S&P is down 103. And the NASDAQ lower by 488. We were in this same position yesterday, remember, at the open. And by the close, markets completely reversed course. Oil prices, meanwhile, have been spiking. They were up 8% yesterday. They're up another 7% this morning. Barclays is raising its Brent forecast to $100 a barrel, warning of supply disruptions through the Strait of Hormuz, which, of course, transports 20% of the world's oil every day. The price of crude is up 7%. The price of Brent is up 7.33%. Iran repeatedly claiming that the strait is closed, vowing to attack any ship passing through this waterway. But CENTCOM reports that the strait is not closed, and it has actually sunk 11 Iranian Navy vessels so far. But you just heard the explanation from Rick Crawford. It is the insurance companies that are pulling back, and that is why you're seeing a virtually standstill in the strait. Gasoline prices are surging. Qatar shutting down LNG production at the world's largest export facility. Earlier, we spoke with the former Prime Minister of Qatar, HBJ, following an Iranian drone attack. Saudi Arabia also halting operations at its largest oil refinery. Aramco shut its 550,000-barrel-a-day facility. Gasoline oil futures surging while U.S. LNG exporter companies are rallying. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is rolling out action today to mitigate the rising spikes in energy prices and ease the impact on American consumers. Joining me now to talk more about allocating capital in all of this is Noble Capital Advisors Managing Partner George Noble. George, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And before we even got into this war, you were telling clients to go toward a rotation, which is what we've been seeing in this market. George, how are you allocating capital right now?
R is not for recession. R is for rotation. R is for reflation. Everyone focuses on the soundbite indices, but the really interesting action is what's going on beneath the surface. And so, for instance, Maria, you well know this. The last few years, if you didn't own Mag 7 and tech stocks, you were nowhere, all right? And that really masked, looking at soundbite indices, how well tech was doing. Conversely, if you own some, beaten down value stocks, you weren't doing so well. Well, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. That's now all changing. I actually think this is a golden age for stock pickers now. If you just avoid Mag 7 and tech, you could just index everything else and you probably outperform the market. But for me, I like reflationary ideas like energy stocks. Been consistent on gold and miners for well over a year now. The song remains the same. This too shall pass. Today's story. One other thing, Maria. One of my guests I had on a podcast last year, Jay Pulaski, he said his superpower was to ignore everything Donald Trump had to say. And that's not because he likes Trump or hates Trump. It's not about politics. What it points to is a bigger underlying problem. People chase hot takes and ignore the hot takes. So if you like energy stocks, as we did, we never thought this was going to happen. This wasn't the reason we own them, all right? And we're like, right here, right now, you put a gun to my head. Would I buy energy stocks right here, right now? Probably not, because you got some macro tourists that have piled into this thing. And, I think what's actually happening in the Mideast is a positive, a huge positive for the world, for the Mideast. We owe a tremendous debt of thanks to those responsible for, And so I think this is a huge positive. So I don't, the simple word is, do not chase hot takes.
Okay, so gold is down this morning, but obviously has been up substantially. It's up in the double digits year to date. It's sitting at 5,188. Would you buy gold here? And do you want to buy the actual bullion, or do you want to buy gold companies? And then I want to get your take on what's going on with technology, because I'm seeing money managers raise cash right now and they're selling tech. There's been this rotation. You've said AI will be an epic bust. Explain that.
Okay, so let's start with tech. I think we're witnessing perhaps the biggest misallocation of capital that the world has ever seen. Julian Garrett of MacroStrategy Partnership in London has crunched the numbers on this, and he thinks the NASDAQ, this is 17 times the misallocation of capital we saw in the NASDAQ bust. I was there. I have the gray hair to show for it. No one's arguing that AI won't have some use. I just think the utility of AI will not live up to expectations, and more importantly, the revenue generation possibilities vis-a-vis, in comparison to the, trillions that are being spent on CapEx, the numbers don't add up. And so, it's sort of an existential imperative. All these companies are chasing AI. If I stop spending, you're going to keep spending, and I'm worried that you're going to win, so therefore I have to keep spending. So it's kind of like mutually assured destruction. We're all doing it, but show me the money.
So what about gold? What about gold, George?
Gold is, you think about the drivers of gold, the fact that the value of our currency keeps going down. It's down 99% over the last 50 years. The fact that we're spending money like drunken sailors. I mean, people say to me, George, you've been right on gold. What would it take for you to turn positive bearish on gold? If we had sensible fiscal and monetary policies, I'd become less bullish on gold. If we had a cessation or diminution of geopolitical risk, I'd turn more positive on gold. If you turn positive on the value of money, I'd become less positive on gold. But right now, all those things are arguing strongly, screaming for higher gold.
So you have to buy gold. Look, we had Louis Navellier on the other day. He said gold is going to 10,000, George, okay? It's at 5,190 right now. Talk about moves in money. Okay, real quick before you go, I know you're planning this big investment conference coming up. You're going to do it online, and it's like a best ideas conference, George. What's your best idea right now?
Energy. Energy and gold, I'm conflicted. And thank you for mentioning that, Maria. Go to my Twitter handle or go to nobleevents.com. $99 at home, 15 of the leading speakers out there. So I think it's going to be a real value for people.
George, we're going to be talking with you again. We so appreciate you joining me this morning, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
All right. Good luck with the conference. George Noble joining us on set. We'll be right back. Stay with us.